Hi, this is Chatterboxing. I'm Sean. I want to talk in this video about Hughie Fury, Kubrat Pulev, the fight on Saturday night. Now, it's a fight I'm very much looking forward to, but it's gone a little bit under the radar. I've seen a few people talking about it, but it doesn't have that much buzz or hype around it. Now, there's obviously a lot at stake. It's an eliminator for the IBF heavyweight title. Massive opportunity for both of them. Obviously, the winner will fight against Joshua, get 25% financially of that purse, as well as obviously the chance of becoming the world champion. So it's a big opportunity, both financially and in terms of what they can achieve. Now, Hughie Fury, I mean, they both challenged for a world title before. Obviously, Pulev lost to Klitschko. I mean, that was one of Klitschko's best performances, really. And that's when Klitschko was really dominating. He was really on top then. Pulev, going into that fight, he had quite a lot of people, myself included, a lot of people thought that was going to be the toughest challenge that Klitschko had for a while. And he started off quite well. Klitschko in the end just took him out with a lovely left hook. He just sort of stood in front of him too much, Pulev, in that fight. I don't know if it was just the occasion got to him or he got his tactics wrong. But yeah, up until that fight, he was looking pretty solid. After then, he fought Derek Chisora, probably the best fight he's fought since then, that I can think of off the top of my head. He's fought a few kind of okay people, but he hasn't really shown the kind of form and the ability that he had prior to that Klitschko fight. So this obviously is a last, well, not obviously, but probably potentially a last roll of the dice for him. I think he's 38 now, is he, or 37? He's been inactive for a couple of years, so that could play a part against him, especially at that age. He's in Bulgaria. Obviously, he's a big star over there, so this is a big opportunity for him. And he'll feel confident that he can beat Hughie Fury. It's a massive opportunity for Hughie Fury, not just to get himself in position for a title shot, but also to really make a name for himself. Because his last time he fought for the title was against, obviously, Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker was given a decision. Now, I personally thought that Hughie Fury just about did enough to edge that fight. Now, as I said in the post-fight video, I don't have a problem with the decision, because it was a fight that could have gone either way. But for me, I thought that Hughie just about did enough. Now, it wasn't the most entertaining fight in the world. He was a bit negative. But I do give a lot of credit to Joseph Parker for that, the way they fought. I mean, people sort of had a go at Parker for that fight, but I think the styles kind of cancelled each other out a little bit. The way Hughie Fury was like moving around, making him miss and hitting with a jab, I think with most heavyweights, he probably would have been able to do that and not have had to have moved quite as much as he did, because they wouldn't have been able to just be on him the whole time like Parker was. Parker, not big for a heavyweight, do you know what I mean, and quite quick on his feet. And apart from when he fought like Joshua, he was a bit disappointing. Dylan White as well, but prior to then he was kind of quite active and quite aggressive, so he was able to stick with Hughie Fury. I think that kind of forced Hughie Fury to move even more than he would have done. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great performance from Hughie Fury, but it's a good experience for him. Then you saw what he did in the next fight against Sam Sexton. Now, Sam Sexton obviously not on the same level as Joseph Parker or Kubrat Pulev, but still he did a real job on him. Great performance, and you could see his mentality, his approach was different. He thought he got the decision as well. I mean, they felt quite hard done by. He feels like he was robbed in that fight. I mean, I definitely wouldn't go so far as to say he was robbed, but he feels in his mind that he should have got that decision. So you'd think that he's learned from that, and he definitely, judging on the last performance, seems to have done. Whether he can then put that into practice against someone on the level of Pulev remains to be seen. But after that fight, a lot of people were just saying, he's boring, like no one really wants to watch him fight. He's just a sort of runner, like just sort of like flicking that jab, doesn't really throw any meaningful punches. And he didn't really do a lot for his reputation. So this is a great opportunity for him, because obviously Dylan White turned down a fight. I mean, he thought Joseph Parker's there, that he had a better option on the table for a lot more money. I mean, realistically, who's going to go and fight in Bulgaria for 25% of the money when you can headline a pay-per-view against Joseph Parker? I mean, No one. So you can't blame him. Jarrell Miller didn't want to take the fight. I mean, he didn't have the same option on the table as Joseph Parker did, as Hughie Fury did, but at least he had I mean, he's promoted by Eddie Hearn, who's just setting up DAZN. So there's other. He got to fight Thomas Adamek for probably more money in his, well, not his hometown, but like Chicago, near, like in his home country. So that was obviously a much more attractive option for him. You know, he's going to have more. So again, I'm not too hard on Jarrell Miller for that either. But Hughie Fury doesn't have that kind of promotion. He's not promoted by Eddie Hearn or one of the big promoters. So, you know, he's got to take these opportunities when he gets them. So I like that. So he's going to go over to Bulgaria, and if he can put in a good performance against Pulev, his reputation is going to go right back up again. You know, from where it was down from Joseph Parker. If he can go out there, do a job on Pulev, then it's an opportunity to, you know, put all that behind him, and then really people will start taking him seriously again. Now, in terms of the actual fight itself, it's an interesting one. I mean, Pulev is a good boxer. He's quite big, strong, good fundamentals. He's only lost one, hasn't he? And that was against Vladimir Klitschko. He fought some pretty solid competition. I mean, not like brilliant, but he's fought decent competition. Probably, you know, and he's for the most part looked good in doing it. He's quite active. He's got a very good jab. And he picks his punches quite well as well. He's got quite a basic defence, but it's pretty solid as well. And his judgment at distance is decent as well. So he's a solid top 10 fighter, and he has been for a long time. Anyone who fights Pulev, he's going to be in for a test. Now, Hughie Fury, he's got a very good jab as well. He's obviously younger. Pulev, I think, is about 38 or something. He's had like an 18-month layoff. So I don't know how that's going to affect him. Hughie Fury, obviously being younger, very, very quick on his feet, very elusive, great head movement, great upper body movement, tough as well. He was quite sort of renowned for being tough throughout, like sparring and stuff. In terms of as a pro, haven't really seen him take that many big shots, but the ones I have seen him take, he's taken them pretty well. He generally rolls with them as well. He took about 3 big punches of Joseph Parker probably in that last fight, or that fight. Joseph Parker is no George Foreman, but he's no feather dusterman either. He can punch to a certain extent, and they didn't really seem to have any effect on him at all. As I said, he does tend to roll them. He's always like moving his head, moving his upper body. He's kind of moving in and out. So he's not an easy target to hit, and he's definitely not an easy target to hit clean. So I expect Pulev to probably have quite a difficulty landing the jab consistently. I expect him to land some because he does have a good jab. He knows what he's doing. But Fury with his quicker feet, I'm not sure who's got the reach advantage, but I expect it to be interesting for the first couple of rounds with the battle of the jabs. I think that will be key to who wins the fight. But I think Fury with his quick feet and his elusiveness. And I do give him the edge and just hunger as well. Now, don't get me wrong, Pulev is going to be very hungry for this. This is probably his last chance to fight for a world title and make a load of money as well. I mean, regardless of how ambitious he is or he isn't, the opportunity to fight Anthony Joshua and make, by far, I don't know how much he made in the Klitschko fight, but probably wasn't as much as this. In any case, that was a few years ago. So this, even from a financial perspective, there's a massive, massive reward here for him to get through this fight. He's fighting in Bulgaria, in Sofia, the capital. Now, from what I hear, he's very, very popular in Bulgaria. Like a superstar out there, really. So it's going to be a big crowd. It's going to be hostile. It's going to be quite intimidating. It's quite a gritty place, Bulgaria. Do you know what I mean? I can imagine it being quite an intimidating crowd. Hughie Fury is quite experienced, though. I mean, obviously he's boxed over the world as an amateur. Both of them have got very good amateur background. I think Hughie Fury was he a world amateur champion or something like that? He's got he won some like world. He's very experienced and amateur and quite accomplished. So he's fought lots of places. He's been at that Joseph Parker fight was that was in his hometown. Now that was an interesting one because he was acting a little bit, I think, a bit out of character in that. He's a very chilled out bloke, Hughie Fury. He's nothing like Tyson Fury. You never really hear him trash talking people or like trying to, Jack the lad, giving it the big end to his opponents. But he did a little bit with Joseph Parker, which is especially strange considering Joseph Parker is pretty chilled out, nice bloke. Do you know what I mean? He's not there provoking people. So that was a bit odd. I think that was, I don't know what that was. He just seemed a bit out of character. Maybe the nerves got to him. Maybe he was just sort of like trying to be something that he wasn't. Maybe like shoved Parker at the weigh-in, and he was just acting a little bit, I don't know. So I think the whole thing was a good experience for him. I don't think he's going to get caught up in that kind of stuff now. I think he's going to go into this one. Obviously, his dad, Peter Fury, very, very good trainer, very switched on as well. Now, there's people go say, "Oh, is he going to get a fair decision in Bulgaria?" I mean, I don't know. I don't really know anything about Bulgaria, to be honest, in terms of officiating sports. Is he less likely to get a fair crack of the whip fighting Pulev in Bulgaria as he is fighting Anthony Joshua in England? I mean, I don't know. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't really know enough about Bulgaria to make those kind of claims. It's definitely not a disadvantage to Pulev, though, is it, having the fight there? So he's going to have to put on a solid performance. But getting back to what I was saying about Peter Fury, I saw when they went to Germany for the Vladimir Klitschko-Tyson Fury fight, straight away he's like, right, they're putting a fast on the ring. He's on it. Right, sort that out now. He's just sort of, do you know what I mean? He's not letting people take the piss. So it's very good having him there, which is a slight concern for me with Tyson Fury going over to America, to be honest. I feel a lot better if Peter Fury is involved, not just for the training, but for that side of it as well, for the sort of shenanigans and like kind of little games people are going to try and pull. But anyway, we're not getting to that now. So that's an advantage for him, and he says he's got lots of friends in Bulgaria. So I think they're going to be well prepared, and I think he's going to be switched on to Hughie Fury. But he has to box a good game, and he can't be as negative as he was in that. I think he's going to win on points. I think he's going to win. I'm picking Hughie Fury for the decision. I don't think he's going to knock Pulev out. He could do. It's possible. Pulev he's been knocked out before. Hughie Fury's a heavyweight. He's like on the back foot a lot, like kind of like jabbing on the back foot. So obviously that's not ideal for him for like power. But if he sits down on his punches, he can work the body pretty well. Hughie Fury as well. I mean, early on in his career, albeit against lower level opposition, he was a very good body puncher. So we could see a bit of that. But still, I don't expect him to stop Pulev. To be honest, I think it's going to be a decision. I don't expect Pulev to stop Hughie Fury either. Pulev's a decent puncher, but I don't think he's going to stop Hughie Fury. I think Hughie Fury is elusive enough, quick on his feet, and his defence is good. I think he's pretty tough as well. I think it's going to take quite a lot to knock out Hughie Fury. I can't see Pulev doing it. So I think it's going to go 12 rounds. I think Hughie Fury is going to have to be dominant to get a win. I think he will be. I think it's his moment. I think this is almost like a mini version of when Tyson went to fight Klitschko in Germany. Do you know what I mean? No one really believed in him. Well, not no one, but a lot of people didn't believe he could do it. Different kind of character, but still there are similarities. He's going out there as the underdog to fight against, a well-known opponent, in a foreign country, in a big arena with a big crowd. I think he's going to do it. I think it's a great opportunity for him. I don't think it's going to be easy at all. I mean, I think Pulev is a good fighter. I do think he's probably slightly on the slide, and I think Fury's probably at a better moment in his career. And if he does win, then obviously him being the IBF mandatory, that's a very interesting fight. Him against Joshua. I'll tell you right now, I would be much more interested in seeing that than Dillian Whyte. If Deontay Wilder doesn't want to take the fight, which he's looking like he doesn't, not in England in April anyway, I would much prefer to see Hughie Fury against Anthony Joshua than Dillian Whyte. But if he doesn't get that fight straight away, then that's not a disaster either, because he's still got a lot of developing to do and he's getting better and better. So if he can fight Pulev, get a good win against him on the road, build on that, I think that's a tough fight for Joshua. The way that Hughie moves, his elusiveness, he's quick on his feet, he's tough, very good, but very, very skillful boxer. people are going to think that the strength and the power of Joshua are probably too much for him. Maybe it will, but I don't know. That's an interesting fight. I have to see how he looks against Pulev, if he can pull that off. If Pulev wins, Pulev Joshua, it's an interesting one, I suppose, but it's not as interesting to me. I don't see Pulev really troubling Joshua, to be honest. I think stylistically that's a much easier fight than Fury, just for the fact he doesn't move as much. He's just a bit more kind of straightforward. So yeah, hopefully for me, Hughie Fury can pull it off. I don't think he can pull it off in style and make a name for himself. So that's what I think's going to happen. And that's what I hope's going to happen. So let me know what you lot think. Thank you very much for watching.